This right here is called a planisphere. I've also heard it called a star chart, or some people might call it a star wheel. It's a really handy device to have to familiarize yourself with the constellations and finding the stars in the night sky. I've got a couple more. It also might look like this. This one kind of got heat damaged, either in a car or maybe this like hot garage down here. I got a smaller one too. I've taken this one on some backpacking trips. It's kind of been through the ringer though, a little damaged. But yeah, I'm gonna just kind of go through it and tell you guys about it. And I just also want to say that I'm definitely not an expert on any of this stuff. I think your local astronomy club would be way better of a resource than me to tell you about it. But that said, I do feel like I'm pretty confident in knowing how to use it. So here's the front of it, showing you to the west, north, and to the east, but mostly like the north side. And then on the back is the south side. There's also some directions that tells you about it. I'm gonna kind of go over some of that stuff. What's important to note though is that this one is for the 30 to 40 degree latitude. So you definitely wanna make sure that you're within this latitude on the Earth. Otherwise, this is not going to be, it's not gonna line up. And the main thing on how you use it is you see along the ring, it has the times of the day. And then in this white part, as you turn this wheel, is the date. So let's say it's the middle of May. So we'll go to May here and we'll line it up from midnight. So May is, let me see, around this way. So let's say it's May 15th at midnight. So I think what's important to note is this is like what you're gonna see at that time. And you can see like, maybe if you're looking on the horizon to the north, you can see Cassiopeia. And then if you come back, let's say you're up late, it's May 15th at 1 a.m. And then you'll notice Cassiopeia is a little bit higher on the horizon. Same thing, 2, maybe 3 o'clock, you're still up. It's a bit higher, but you can tell that the stars will rotate counterclockwise around the North Star, which is basically in the center of this chart here, which is also known as Polaris. So yeah, the stars are all like lowercase with a capital letter there. And the constellations are all capitalized. So there's Cassiopeia, looks kind of like a W. Got the Big Dipper right here, which is an important one because it shows you how to find the North Star. If you use these, they call it the pointers. Let me kind of get back in front of the camera. Sorry, I didn't like plan this out that well, but if you were at the North Pole, the North Star would be straight up ahead above you. So as you go further south, that North Star will get lower on the horizon. Another thing to point out on the star chart is that some of these dots are larger than a lot of the other ones. These dots, they're representing of stars, but like you can see Arcturus right here, and the constellation of Boots is much larger than these. And that just means that it's brighter. So it's gonna be easier to find Arcturus than it is to find some of the other smaller stars within the constellation of Boots. And actually, one thing that midnight on July 4th, we'll say, here in North America, we got the fireworks. One constellation that's really easy to find at that time of year is called the Summer Triangle. So that's Altair, Deneb, and Vega, and their constellations of Cygnus, Lyra, and Aquila. So it's, I always, that's the Summer Triangle. Let's say we'll go to July. You can see how the constellations kind of change throughout the year. So let's go to the month before, June 4th at midnight. You can see that Summer Triangle is much lower at that time at midnight. And then we go to May 4th at midnight. You can see that the Summer Triangle is now kind of over more towards the east, almost on the horizon. You can see how the constellations change throughout the season. You can almost look at the stars and find out what time of year it is if you get more familiar with this, or what time of night it is even. Oh, I guess another thing to note is that this like blue hazy stuff here is the Milky Way. So around July 4th at midnight, you can see that that's, you're obviously not gonna be able to see this if you're in a giant city, but if you're out in the country somewhere or at a remote backpacking area, you'll be able to see this if you let your eyes adjust. And I guess, oh yeah, another important thing to mention is that it says read with a red filtered flashlight at night, which is good because it will help preserve your night vision. Yeah, this is the one I would recommend using. It's the Nitecore NU25. I'll put another link to this one, but it's really simple because it's got the white light and it's a couple settings, and Then you've got the other button, that's the red light. So it's really simple to use. A lot of them are kind of complicated with press for 30 seconds, hold, release, pet your dog, then press it again. And this one's really simple. It's just 2 buttons. So red light and white light. Definitely recommend that one. It's really simple, really lightweight. Great for backpacking too. You can take this strap off and get it to a really lightweight. It's rechargeable. So okay, another product for the Amazon machine. Another thing to note is the ecliptic. So, okay, so this dotted line is the ecliptic. And that line, the planets will kind of move along this line. So you might see like a bright object that looks like another star, but it's actually a planet. It's, you know, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn is another bright one. Venus is generally in the west at sunset, and that one's really bright. But just note that if you're looking for a certain constellation and you see a bright star that doesn't seem to be on here, it's probably a planet. Just important to note that things are going to move this way. Things are going to be rising in the east over here on the ecliptic and go this way. Just like the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, the planets are generally doing the same thing. And as you move throughout the year, you can see how that ecliptic changes. You can really just kind of play with this wheel and see what is out in your night sky. I guess the last thing I want to mention is all these, it tells you about what they are, but you've got the globular star clusters, the open star clusters, and of course the nebulas and the galaxies. Let me see, I know the Orion Nebula, there's one in the Orion there. As far as galaxies, you've got, you know, M31, the Andromeda, is it M31? I think that's Andromeda Galaxy right there. That's a good one to look at and find in a telescope if you have one. Let's see the December 25th at midnight. What's going on in the night sky? So I've got it lined up here, midnight, December 25th. And you can see like towards the north, I know Orion, Cassiopeia, Perseus, those are kind of dominating the sky. Although Orion, you can see on the south, it's kind of like you can look to the north and see Orion, but you're going to be kind of doing a back bend. So then let's go to July 4th at midnight, basically 6 months away. You can't see Orion at all at that time. So it's a great way for you to understand like what's happening and why there's different stars out at different nights. Yeah, I forgot to, before I move the camera, I want to show you guys this on how you like use it. A lot of people will take it and like use it like this, which I guess is fine if you can make it work. But for me, what I find that works the easiest is if I just hold this at arm's length like this. And let's say I'm looking straight toward the north, so it's straight up like this, and then as I look to the right, to the east, I will rotate it like this, and then, you know, I'm looking at the stars like this and trying to match up and line up, and as I move back to the north, I'm kind of rotating it along the horizon like this, like it's just rolling along that horizon. So that's pretty much my knowledge of how to use the Planisphere. Again, I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. I'm not claiming to be. I think it's helpful for people that are going into the backcountry. A lot of the stuff I've done on this channel are like hiking and backpacking stuff. So I know when I was on the Pacific Crest Trail, for instance, I could really, you know, find that North Star, and it was really cool to walking at night through the desert and seeing how that star moves. You really get an understanding of how people way back in the day would use the stars to navigate the earth, you know, through the oceans mostly, but also through like the deserts and just traveling in general. But yeah, I don't want to go on and on about all that. But this is nice to have too. It's a 4.5-inch reflector. It's a telescope that I've had since I was very young, and it's cool to have. But it's like when I go out to view the night sky, it's sort of like I spend a lot of time, you know, messing with this, and I find that oftentimes what I really like is just going out and chilling under the night sky and just kind of viewing them and being amongst the night sky. And this is something really easy to take and just have it like, what is that right there? What star is that? And just really, it really is a good tool to help you familiarize yourself with the night sky. So if you want to pick one up, I have a link to one below in the description. It is an affiliate link, so it does help support the channel. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.